चैतन्यमनो अन्येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं सगृजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Ribo. Okay, so today we'll read the chapter 2 of Krishna book. So chapter is called Prayers by the Demigods for Lord Krishna in the Womb. Okay, Hare Krishna. King Kamsa not only occupied the kingdoms of the Yadu, Bhoja, and Andaka dynasties and the kingdom of Surasena, but he also made alliances with all the other demoniac kings as follows. The demon Pralamba, demon Baka, demon Chanura, demon Tarnavarta, demon Agasura, demon Mustika. Oh, this is funny name because this Mustika means blueberry in Finnish. He was a blueberry demon. Demon Arishta, demon Dvivida, demon Putana, demon Keshi, and demon Denuka. At that time, Jarasandha was the king of Magadha province, known as at present as Bihar state. Thus, by his diplomatic policy, Kamsa consolidated the most powerful kingdom of his time under the protection of Jarasandha. He made further alliances with such kings as Banasura and Baumasura until he was the strongest. Then he began to behave most inimically towards the Yadu dynasty, into which Krishna was to take his birth. Being harassed by Kamsa, the kings of the Yadu, Bhoja, and Andaka dynasties began to take shelter in different states, such as the state of the Kurus and the state of the Panchalas, and the state known as Kekaya, Shalva, Vidarbha, Nishada, Videha, and Koshala. Kamsa broke the solidarity of the Yadu kingdom, as well as the Bhoja and Andaka. He made his position the most solid within the vast tract of land known at that time as Bharatavarsha. When Kamsa killed the 6 babies of Devaki and Vasudeva, one after another, many friends and relatives of Kamsa approached him and requested him to discontinue the heinous activities, but all of them became worshippers of Kamsa. Oh. They tried to preach, but then they turned. When Devaki became pregnant for the 7th time, a plenary expansion of Krishna known as Ananta appeared within her womb. Devaki was overwhelmed both with jubilation and lamentation. She was joyful for she could understand that Lord Vishnu had taken shelter within her womb, but at the same time she was sorry that as soon as her child would come out, Kamsa would kill him. At that time, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, being compassionate upon the fearful condition of the Yadus due to atrocities committed by Kamsa, ordered the appearance of his Yoga Maya, or his internal potency. Krishna is the Lord of the universe, but he is especially the Lord of the Yadu dynasty. This Yoga Maya is the principal potency of the Personality of Godhead. In the Vedas, it is stated that the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has multipotencies. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. All the different potencies are acting externally and internally, and Yogamaya is the chief of all potencies. He ordered the appearance of Yogamaya in the land of Rajabhumi, in Vrindavan, which is always decorated with beautiful cows. In Vrindavan, Rohini, one of the wives of Vasudeva, was residing at the house of King Nanda and Queen Yashoda. Not only Rohini, but many others in the Yadu dynasty were scattered all over the country due to their fear of the atrocities of Kamsa. Some of them were even living in the caves of the mountains. The Lord thus informed Yogamaya, under the imprisonment of Kamsa and Devaki and Vasudeva, and at the present moment, while plenary expansion Shesha is within the womb of Devaki, you can arrange the transfer of Shesha from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. After this arrangement, I am personally going to appear in the womb of Devaki with my full potencies. Then I shall appear as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, and you shall appear as the daughter of Nanda and Yashoda in Vrindavan. Since you will appear as my contemporary sister, people within the world will worship you with all kinds of valuable presentations, incense, candles, flowers, and offerings of sacrifice. You shall quickly satisfy their desires for sense gratification. People who are after materialistic affection will worship you under the different forms of your expansions, which will be named Durga, Bhadrakali, Vijaya, Vaishnavi, Kumuda, Chandika, Krishna, Madhavi, Kanyaka, Maya, Narayani, Ishani, Sharada, and Ambika. Krishna and Yogamaya appeared as brother and sister, the supreme powerful and the supreme power. Although there is no clear distinction between the powerful and the power, power is always subordinate to the powerful. Those who are materialistic are worshippers of the power, but those who are transcendentalists are worshippers of the powerful. Krishna is the supreme powerful, and Durga is the supreme power within the material world. Actually, people in the Vedic culture worship both the powerful and the power. There are many hundreds of thousands of temples of Vishnu and Devi, and sometimes they are worshipped simultaneously. The worshippers of the power, Durga, or the external energy of Krishna, may achieve all kinds of material success very easily, but anyone who wants to be elevated transcendentally must engage in worshipping the powerful in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The Lord also declared to Yogamaya that his plenary expansions, Ananta Shesha, was within the womb of Devaki. On account of being forcibly attracted to the womb of Rohini, he would be known as the Sankarsana and would be the source of all spiritual power or bala, by which one could be able to attain the highest bliss of life, which is called Raman, Ramana. Therefore, the plenary portions, Ananta, will be known after his appearance either as Sankarsana and Balarama. In the Upanishads, it is said that Nayam Atma Balahine Lapya. The purport is that one cannot attain the supreme or any form of the self-realization without being sufficiently favored by Balarama. Bala does not mean physical strength. No one can attain the spiritual perfection by physical strength. One must have a spiritual strength with which, sorry, one must have the spiritual strength which is infused by Balarama or Sekarsana. Ananta or Shesha is the power which sustains all planets in their different positions. Materially, this sustaining power is known as the law of gravitation, but actually is the display of the potency of the Sakarsana. Balarama or Sankarsana is the spiritual power of the original spiritual master. Therefore, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is the incarnation of Balarama, is the original spiritual master. The spiritual master is the representative of Balarama, the supreme personality of Godhead who supplies the spiritual strength in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is confirmed that the spiritual master is the manifestation of the mercy of Krishna. When Yogamaya was thus ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she circumambulated the Lord and then appeared within the material world according to his order. When the Supreme Powerful Personality of Godhead transferred Lord Shesha from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini, both of them were under the spell of Yogamaya, which is also called Yoga Nindra. When this was done, people understood that Devaki's seventh pregnancy was a miscarriage. Thus, although Balarama appeared as the son of Devaki, he was transferred to the womb of Rohini to appear as her son. After this arrangement, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was always ready to place his full potencies in his unalloyed devotees, entered as the Lord of the whole creation within the mind of the of Vasudeva. It is understood in this connection that Lord Krishna first of all situated himself in the unalloyed heart of Devaki. He was not put into the womb of Devaki by seminal discharge, the supreme personality of Godhead. By his inconceivable potency can appear in any way. It is not necessary for him to appear in the ordinary way by seminal injection within the womb of a woman. Hare Krishna, anyone else can take up the reading?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Bhagaram Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna. When Vasudeva was sustaining the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within his heart, he appeared just like the glowing sun whose shining rays are always unbearable and scorching the common man. Scorching the common man. The form of the Lord situated in the pure unannoyed heart of Vasudeva is not different from the original form of Krishna. The appearance of the form of Krishna anywhere and specifically within the heart, it is called Dhama. Is called Dhama. Dhama does not only refer to Krishna's form. Dhama. It's Dhama. Dhama. But his name, his form, his quality, and his paraphernalia, everything become manifest instantaneously. Thus, the eternal form of Supreme Personality of Godhead with the full potencies were transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki, exactly as the setting sun's rays are transferred to the full moon rising in the east. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, entered the body of Devaki from the body of Vasudeva. He was beyond the condition of the ordinary living entity. When Krishna is there, it is to be understood that all his plenary expansions, such as Narayana, the incarnation of Lord Narasimha, Varaha, etc., are within him and they are not subject to the condition of the material existence. In this way, Devaki become the residence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devaki become the residence of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is one without a second and cause of all creation. Devaki became the residence of absolute truth, but because she was within the house of Kansa, she looked just like a suppressed fire or like misused education. When fire is covered by the walls of the pot or it kept in a jug, the illuminating ray of the fire cannot very much appreciated. Similarly, misused knowledge which does not benefit the people in general is not very much appreciated. So Devaki was kept within the prison wall of the Kamsa place, and so one could not could see no one could see her transcendental beauty, which is resulted from her conceiving the supreme personality of Godhead. Kansa, however, saw the transcendental beauty of his sister Devaki, and he at once concluded that the supreme personality of Godhead had taken shelter in the womb. She had never before looked so wonderfully beautiful. He could distinctly understand that there was something wonderful within the womb of the Devaki. In this way, Kansa became perturbed. He was sure that the Supreme Personality of Godhead would kill him in the future and that he had now come. Kamsa began to think, what is to be done with the Devaki? Surely she was Vishnu or Krishna within her womb. So, so it is certain. So it is certain that Krishna has come to execute the mission of demigods. And even if I immediately kill Devaki, his mission cannot be frustrated. Kamsa knew very well that no one can frustrate the purpose of the Vishnu. Any intelligent man can understand that the law of God cannot be violated. His purpose will be served in spite of the all impediments offered by the demons. Krishna thought, if I kill Devaki at the present moment, Kansa thought, if I kill Devaki at the present moment, Vishnu will enforce his supreme will more vehemently. vehemently. To kill Devaki, to kill Devaki just now would be a most abominable act. No one desired to kill his reputation, even in an awkward situation. If I kill Devaki now, my reputation will be spoiled. Devaki is a woman and she is under my shelter. She is pregnant, and if I kill her, immediately all the reputation, the result of pious activity, and duration of life will be finished. He also further deliberated. A person who is too cruel, even in this lifetime, is a good and dead. No one good as dead. No one like a cruel person during his lifetime, and after his life, people curse him on account of his self-identification with the body. He must be degraded and pushed into the darkest region of the hell. Kansa thus meditated on all the pros and cons of the killing Devki at that time. At that time, Kansa finally decided not to kill Devki right away, but to wait for the inevitable future. But his mind became absorbed in any animos, animosity, animosity, animosity against the personality of the Godhead. He patiently, he patiently waited for the deliverance of the child, expecting to kill him, as he as he as he had done previously with the other babies of Devaki, thus being merged in the ocean of animosity against the personality of Godhead. He began to think of Krishna and Vishnu while sitting, while sleeping, while walking, while eating, while working. In all situations of his life, his mind became so much absorbed with the thought of Supreme Personality of Godhead that indirectly he could see only Krishna or Vishnu around him. Unfortunately, although his mind was so absorbed in thought of Krishna, he is not recognized as a devotee because he was thinking of Krishna as an enemy. The state of mind of great devotee is also also to be always absorbed in Krishna, but a devotee think of him favorably, but not unfavorably. To think of Krishna favorably in Krishna consciousness, but to think of Krishna unfavorably is not Krishna consciousness. At, at this time, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, accompanied by great sages like Narada and followed by many other demigods, invisibly appeared in the house of Kansa. They began to house of Kansa. They began to pray for the Supreme Personality of Godhead in select prayers, which are very pleasing to the devotees and which award fulfillment of their desire. The first word they spoke acclaimed that the Lord is true to his vow. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna descended in the material world just to protect the pious and destroy the impious. That is that is the demigods could understand that the Lord had taken his residence. The demigods could understand that the Lord has taken his residence within the womb of Devaki in order to fulfill his vow. The demigods were very glad that the Lord was appearing to the fulfill his mission, and they addressed him as Satyam Param, or the supreme absolute truth. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Everyone is searching after the truth. That is the philosophical way of life. The demigods give information that the supreme absolute truth is Krishna. One who becomes fully Krishna conscious can attain the absolute truth. Krishna is the absolute truth. Relative truth is not truth in all the three phases of eternal time. Time is divided into past, present, and future. Krishna is the truth always, past, present, and future. In the material world, everything is being controlled by supreme time in the course of past, present, and future. But before the creation, Krishna was existing, and when there is creation, everything is resting in Krishna. And when this creation is finished, Krishna will remain. Therefore, he is absolute truth in all circumstances. If there is any truth within this material world, it emanates from the supreme truth, Krishna. If there is any opulence within this material world, the cause of the opulence is Krishna. If there is any reputation within this material world, the cause of the reputation is Krishna. If there is any strength within this material world, the cause of such strength is Krishna. If there is any wisdom and education within this material world, the cause of such wisdom and education is Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is the source of all relative truths. This material world is composed of 5 principal elements: earth, water, fire, and ether, and all such elements are emanations from Krishna. The material scientists accept these primary 5 elements as the cause of material manifestation. But the elements in their gross and subtle stages are produced by Krishna. The living entities who are working within this material world are also products of his marginal potency. In the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that the whole manifestation is a combination of 2 kinds of energies of Krishna: the superior energy and the inferior energy. The living entities are the superior energy, and the dead material elements are his inferior energy. In its dormant stage, everything remains in Krishna. The demigods continue to offer their respectful prayers unto the supreme form of the personality of Godhead, Krishna, by analytical study of the material manifestation. What is this material manifestation? It is just like a tree. A tree stands on the ground. Similarly, the tree of the material manifestation is standing on the ground of material nature. This material manifestation is compared with the tree because the tree is ultimately cut off in due course of time. A tree is called vriksha. Vriksha means that thing which will be ultimately cut off. Therefore, this tree of the material manifestation cannot be accepted as the ultimate truth. The influence of time is on the material manifestation, but Krishna's body is eternal. He existed before the material manifestation. He is existing while the material manifestation is continuing, and while it will be dissolved, he will continue to exist. The Katha Upanishad also cites this example of the tree of material manifestation standing on the ground of material nature. This tree has two kinds of fruits, distress and happiness. Those who are living on the tree of the body are just like two birds. One bird is the localized aspect of Krishna, known as the Paramatma, and the other bird is the living entity. The living entity is eating the fruits of this material manifestation. Sometimes he eats the fruit of happiness, and sometimes he eats the fruit of distress. But the other bird is not interested in eating the fruit of distress or happiness because he is self-satisfied. The Katha Upanishad states that one bird on the tree of the body is eating the fruits and the other bird is simply witnessing. The roots of this tree extend in three directions. That means the root of the tree is the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Just as the tree's root expands, so, by association of the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, one expands his duration of material existence. The taste of the fruits are of four kinds: religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and ultimately liberation. According to the different association in the three modes of material nature, the living entities are tasting different kinds of religiosity, different kinds of economic development, different kinds of sense gratification, and different kinds of liberation. Practically all material work is performed in ignorance, but because there are three qualities, sometimes the quality of ignorance is covered with goodness or passion. The taste of these material fruits is accepted through five senses. The five sense organs through which knowledge is acquired are subjected to six kinds of whips: lamentation, illusion, infirmity, death, hunger, and thirst. This material body or the material manifestation is covered by 7 layers: skin, muscle, flesh, marrow, bone, fat, and semina. The branches of the tree are 8: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. There are 9 gates in this body: the 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, 1 mouth, 1 genital, 1 rectum, and there are 10 kinds of internal air passing within the body: prana, apana, udana, vyana, samana, etc. These 2 birds seated in this tree are explained above, are the living entity and the localized Supreme Personality of Godhead. The root cause of the material manifestation described here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself and takes charge of the 3 qualities of the material world. Vishnu takes the charge of the modes of goodness, Brahma takes charge of the modes of passion, and Lord Shiva takes charge of the modes of ignorance. Brahma, by the modes of passion, creates this manifestation. Lord Vishnu maintains this manifestation by the modes of goodness, and Lord Shiva annihilates it by the modes of ignorance. The whole creation ultimately rests in the Supreme Lord. He is the cause of creation, maintenance, and dissolution, and when this whole manifestation is dissolved in its subtle form as the energy of the Lord, it rests within the body of the Supreme Lord. At the present, the demigods prayed. The Supreme Lord Krishna is appearing just for the maintenance of this manifestation. Actually, the Supreme Cause is one, but being deluded by the 3 modes of material nature, less intelligent persons see that the material world is manifested through different causes. Those who are intelligent can see that the cause is one, Krishna, as it is stated in the Brahma Samhita, Sarvakaranam Karanam, Sarvakarana Karanam. Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead, is the cause of all causes. Brahma is the deputed agent for creation. Vishnu is the expansion of Krishna for maintenance, and Lord Shiva is the expansion of Krishna for dissolution. O dear Lord, the demigods prayed, it is very difficult to understand your eternal form of personality. People in general are unable to understand your actual form. Therefore, you are personally descending to exhibit your original eternal form. Somehow people can understand the different incarnations of your lordship, but they are puzzled to understand the eternal form of Krishna with two hands, moving among human beings exactly like one of them. This eternal form of your lordship is ever increasing in transcendental pleasure for the devotees, but for the non-devotees, this form is very dangerous. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very pleasing to the sadhu. It is said, Paritranaya sadhunam. But this form is very dangerous for the demons because Krishna also descends to kill the demons. He is therefore simultaneously pleasing to the devotees and dangerous to the demons. O dear lotus-eyed Lord, you are the source of pure goodness. There are many great sages who simply by samadhi or transcendental meditation upon your lotus feet and thus being absorbed in your thoughts have easily transformed the great ocean of the science created by the material nature to no more than water in a calf's hoof prints. The purpose of meditation is to focus the mind upon the person of Godhead, beginning from his lotus feet. Simply by meditation on the lotus feet of the Lord, great sages cross over this vast ocean of material existence without difficulty. O self-illuminated one, the great saintly persons who have crossed over the ocean of nescience by the help of the transcendental boat of your lotus feet have not taken away that boat. It is still lying on this side. The demigods are using a nice smile. No, the demigods are using a nice simile. If one takes a boat to cross over a river, the boat also goes with one to the other side of the river. And so when one reaches the destination, how can the same boat be available to those who are still on the other side? To answer this difficulty, the demigods say in their prayer that the boat is not taken away. The devotees still remaining on the other side are able to pass over the ocean of material nature because the pure devotees do not take the boat with them when they cross over. When one simply approaches the boat, and whole ocean of material science is reduced to the size of water in a calf's hoof prints. Therefore, the devotees do not need to take the boat to the other side. They simply cross the ocean immediately. Because the great saintly persons are compassionate toward all conditioned souls, the boat is still lying at the lotus feet of the Lord. One can meditate upon his feet at any time, and by doing so, one can cross over the great ocean of material existence. Meditation means concentration upon the lotus feet of the Lord. Lotus feet indicating the Supreme Person of Godhead. Those who are impersonalists do not recognize the lotus feet of the Lord, and therefore their object of meditation is something impersonal. The demigods express their mature verdict that persons who are interested in meditating on something void or impersonal cannot cross over the ocean of nescience. Such persons are simply imagining that they have become liberated. O Lotus-eyed Lord, their intelligence is contaminated because they fail to meditate upon the lotus feet of your Lordship. As the result of this neglectful activity, the impersonalists fall down again into the material way of conditioned life, although they may temporarily rise up to the point of impersonal realization. Impersonalists, after undergoing several austerities and penances, merge themselves into the Brahman effulgence or impersonal Brahman existence. But their minds are not free from material contamination. They have simply tried to negate the material ways of thinking. That does not mean that they have become liberated. Thus they fall down. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that the impersonalist has to undergo great deep tribulation in realizing the ultimate goal. At the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also stated that without devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve liberation from the bondage of fruitive activities. This statement of Lord Krishna is there in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The statement of great sage Narada is there, and here also the demigods confirm it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. People,
And
are we stopping here or?
no problem. Let's read these pages. Can you see?
Okay. Yeah. So I'll just read on. People who have not taken to devotional service are understood to have come short of the ultimate purpose of knowledge and are not favored by your grace. The impersonalists simply think that they are liberated, but actually they have no feeling for the personality of Godhead, and they think that when Krishna comes into, the material world, he accepts a material body. They therefore overlook the transcendental body of Krishna. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Vajananti mam mutaha. In spite of the impersonalists fall down, if they are engaged just in knowing things for the sake of knowledge and do not take the devotional service, they cannot achieve the desired result. Their achievement is trouble to take. Their achievement is the trouble they take. And that is all. It is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita that to realize Brahman identification, not all Brahman identification may help one become joyful without material attachment or detachment and achieve the platform of equanimity. But after this stage, one has to take to devotional service. When one takes to devotional service after being elevated to a platform of Brahman realization, he is then admitted to the spiritual kingdom for the permanent residence in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the result of devotional service. Those who are devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead never fall down like the impersonalists. Even if the devotees fall down, they remain affectionately attached to their lordship. Wow. They can meet all kinds of obstacles in the path of devotional service, and freely, without any fear, they can surmount such obstacles because of their surrender. They are certain that Lord Krishna will always protect them, as it is promised by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. My devotees are never vanquished. Ah, it's very nice, boy. It's very nice. Our our dear Lord, you have appeared in the original unalloyed form. I don't know if you heard that, Sai Karti Prabhu, but that was your answer right there. Our dear Lord, you have appeared in our original form, the eternal form of goodness, for the welfare of all living entities within the eternal form of goodness, for the welfare of all living entities within the material world. Take advantage of your appearance. All of them can now very easily understand the nature and form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons who belong to the four divisions of the social order, Brahmanas, Grihastas, and Vanaprastha, and sannyasis can all take advantage of your appearance. Dear Lord, husband of the goddess of fortune, devotees who are dovetailed in your devotion in your service do not fall down from their high position like the impersonalists. They being protected by you, the devotees are able to traverse over the heads of many miles commanders in chief who can always put stumbling blocks on the path of liberation. My dear Lord, you appear in your transcendental form for the benefit of the living entities who so that they can see you face to face and offer their worshipable sacrifices by ritualistic performances of the Vedas, mystic meditation, and devotional service as recommended in the scriptures. Dear Lord, if you do not appear in your eternal transcendental form, full of bliss and knowledge, which can eradicate all kinds of speculative ignorance about your position, then all people will simply speculate about you according to their respective modes of material nature. The appearance of Krishna is the answer to all imaginative icon, iconography, iconography of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone imagines the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to his modes of material nature. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is the oldest person. Therefore, a section of the religious imagine that God must be very old, and therefore they depict him. They depict a form of the Lord like a very old man. In the same Brahma Samhita, it is uh, that is contradicted. Although he is the oldest of all living entities, he is the he has his eternal form as a fresh youth. The exact words used in the connection in the Srimad Bhagavatam is Vijnanam Ajnana Jnanbit Amarjanam. Vijnanam means transcendental knowledge, the supreme personality. Vijnanam is the experience knowledge. Transcendental knowledge has to be accepted by the descending process of disciplic succession, as Brahma presents the knowledge of Krishna in the Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita is Vijnanam, as realized by Brahma's transcendental experience. In that way, he presents the form and pastimes of Krishna in the transcendental abode. Big Jnanabhed means that which can match all kinds of speculation. That in ignorance, people are imagining the form of the Lord. Sometimes he has no form, sometimes he has form, according to their different imaginations. But the presentation of Krishna in the Brahma Samhita is Vijnanam, experienced knowledge. I don't know what that blank is. Experienced knowledge given by Lord Brahma is and accepted by Lord Chaitanya. There's no doubt about it. Lord Sri Krishna's form, Sri Krishna's flute, Krishna's color, everything is reality. Here it is said that Vijnanam is always defeating all kinds of speculative knowledge. Therefore, without your appearing as Krishna, as you are, neither a, a Gyan ni signs of speculative knowledge, or Vijnanam would be realized. A Gyanapi, a Aparachanam. Your your appearance your appearance, the speculative knowledge of ignorance will be vanquished, and the real experienced knowledge of authorities like Lord Brahma will be established. Men influenced by the three modes of material nature imagine their own God according to the modes of material nature. In this way, God is presented in various ways, but your parents will establish that the what the real form of God is. The highest blunder committed by the impersonalists to think that when the incarnation of God comes, he accepts the form of matter in the modes of material goodness. Actually, the form of Krishna or Narayana is transcendental to any material idea. Even the greatest impersonalist Sankaracharya has admitted that the Narayana Paro Vikya Vakta, the material creation is caused by the avyak, avyakta, impersonal manifestation of matter, or the non-phenomenal total uh, reservation of matter. And Krishna is transcendental to the material conception that is expressed in the Srimad Bhagavad, Bhagavatam as the Suti Sattva, or transcendental. He does not belong to the material modes of goodness. He is above the position of material goodness. He belongs to the transcendental, eternal status of bliss and knowledge. Dear Lord, when you appear in the different incarnations, you take different names and forms according to different situations. Lord Krishna is your name because you are all attractive. You're called Samsundar because of your transcendental beauty. Shama means blackish, yet Yet they say that you are more beautiful than thousands of cupids. Uh, Parkoti Kamandiya. Although you appear in a color which is compared to blackish cloud, because you are a because you are a transcendental absolute, your beauty is many times more attractive than the delicate body of Cupid. Sometimes you are called Giritari because you have lifted the hill known as Govardhana. You are sometimes called Nandanandana, or Vasudev, or Devakinanda, because you appear as the son of Maharaj Nanda or Devaki or Vasudev. Impersonalists think that you that your many names or forms are according to the particular type of work quality because they accept you from the position of material observer. Our dear Lord, the way, um, our dear Lord, the way of understanding is not to study your absolute nature, form, and activity by mental speculation. One must engage himself in devotional service. Then one can understand your absolute nature, transcendental form, name, and qualities. Actually, only a person who has little taste for service of your lotus feet can understand your transcendental nature or form and quality. Others may go on speculating for millions of years, but it is not possible for them to understand even a single part of your actual position. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, cannot be understood by the non-devotees because is a certain uh there is a curtain of Yogamaya which covers Krishna's actual features, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Naham prakrasah sarvasya. The Lord says that I am not exposed to anyone and everyone. When Krishna came, he was actually present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and everyone saw him. But not everyone could understand that he was the Supreme Personality, Godhead of uh, still everyone who died in the presence of the and his presence attained complete liberation from material bondage and was transferred to the spiritual world. O Lord, the impersonalists or non-devotees cannot understand that your name is identical with your form. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between his name and his actual form. In the material world, there are differences between form and name. The mango fruit is different from the name mango. One cannot taste a mango fruit by simply chanting mango, mango. But the devotee who knows that there is no difference between the name and the form of the Lord chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and realizes that he is always in Krishna's company. For persons who are not very advanced in the absolute knowledge of the Supreme, Lord Krishna exhibits his transcendental pastimes. They can simply think of the pastimes of the Lord and get full benefit. Since there is no difference between the transcendental name and forms of the Lord, there is no difference between the transcendental pastimes and the form of the Lord. For there, for those who are less intelligent, like women, laborers, or mercantile class, the great sages of Vyasadeva wrote Mahabharata, and in the Mahabharata, Krishna is present in his different activities. Mahabharata is history, and simply by studying, hearing, and memorizing the transcendental activities of Krishna, the less intelligent can also gradually rise to the standard of pure devotees. The pure devotees who are always absorbed in the thoughts of in in the thoughts of the transcendental lotus feet of Krishna, and who are always engaged in devotional service and full Krishna consciousness, are never to be considered to be in the material world. Sri Rupa Goswami has explained that and that those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness by body, mind activities are to be considered liberated even within the body, in this body. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Those who are engaged in devotional service of the Lord have already transcended the material position. Krishna appears to give a chance both to devotees and non-devotees for realization of the absolute truth of life. The ultimate goal of life. The devotees get the direct chance to see him and worship him. Those who are not on the platform get the chance. Those who are not on the platform get the chance to become acquainted with his activities and thus become elevated to the same position. Oh dear Lord, the demigods continue. You are on board. Therefore, we do not find any reason for your appearance other than your pleasure pastimes. Although the reasons for the appearance of the Lord is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, he descends just to give protection to the devotee and vanquish the non-devotee. Actually, he descends for his pleasure with the devotees, not really to vanquish the non-devotees. The non-devotees can be vanquished simply by material nature. The action and reaction of external energy of material nature, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, are being carried on automatically, but simply by taking shelter of your holy name, because your holy name and your personality are non-different. The devotees are sufficiently protected. The protection of devotees and the annihilation of non-devotees are actually not the business of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Wait, let me just reread that again. The devotees are sufficiently protected. The protection of devotees and annihilation of non-devotees are actually not the business of the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he descends. They're just for his transcendental pleasure. There cannot be any other reason for his appearance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Subramania.
Krishna, dear Prabhu, speak the patience is all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Brahmani and Prabhu, DJ, Tamil
Hare.
movement. Of course.
Okay, who's gonna read half page?
Okay. Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Brahma.
Right.
Hello.
Hare Krishna. Our dear Lord, you are appearing as the best of the Yadu dynasty, and we are offering our respectful humble obeisance unto your lotus feet. Before this appearance, you also appeared as the fish incarnation, the horse incarnation, the tortoise incarnation, the swan incarnation, as King Ramachandra, as Parashuram, and as many other incarnations. You appeared just to protect the devotees, and we request you in your present appearance as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself to give us similar protection all over the three worlds and remove all obstacles for the peaceful execution of our lives. Dear Mother Devaki, within your womb is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing along with all his plenary extensions. He is the original personality of Godhead, appearing for our welfare. Therefore, you should not be afraid of your brother, the king of Bhoja. Your son, Lord Krishna, who is the original personality of Godhead, will appear for the protection of the pious Yadu dynasty. The Lord is appearing not only alone, but accompanied by his immediate plenary portion, Balaram. Devaki was very much afraid of her brother Kamsa because he had already killed so many of her children. She used to remain very anxious about Krishna. In the Vishnu Puran, it is stated that in order to pacify Devaki, all the demigods, along with their wives, used to always visit her to encourage her not to be afraid that her son would be killed by Kamsa. Krishna, who was within her womb, was to appear not only to diminish the burden of the world, but specifically to protect the interest of the Yadu dynasty and certainly to protect Devaki and Vasudha. This is the Bhaktivedanta purport of the second chapter of Krishna. Prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna. The womb.
Ribo.
Ribol. Jai.
People.
So tomorrow we read about birth of Krishna.
Yes.
What is it called today? When Krishna
Today?
takes birth, what is it called?
Janmashtami.
Oh, Janmashtami.
Janmashtami ki jai.
Jai.
That's happening in August or September, Janmashtami?
Yeah, August to September. Yes.
Hari bol. Okay, let's read 6 Astakam prayers. Cheto tarpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam Shreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam Vidyavadu jivanam Anandam buddhivartanam pratipadam Purnamrita svadanam Sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna sankirtanam.
Nam Nam. Oh, hey, well, you can do it.
No, you can go ahead, Mahesh.
Okay, well. Nam Nam Makari Balda Nitisava Saktis Takta Pitani Amitas Mane Nakalaha Itajishita Vakipa Bakua Mama Pidur Deva Mitri Samya Janina Nuragaha.
तृणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीयः सदा हरिः
नदनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतात् भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि.
Ainandan Tanu Kinkaram Patitamam Viswame Babum Tuto Kipayatava Para Pankita Sita Duli Satter Samfitintaya.
नयनं गलदश्रुद्धारया वदनं गद्गदबुद्धया गिरा पुलकैर्निचितं वपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्राविर्शायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दा विरहेण मे.
Alishyava Pararatumam Adarsharam Mama Hatam Kurutava Yatatatava Vitatu Matpananastu Sevanapara.
हरि बोल. श्री शिक्षाष्टकम की जय.
जय
तत्व की जय.
जय
अनंत प्रभु की जय. चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय.
जय
जगत श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय.
जय
जय गौर प्रेमानंदे.
हरि हरि बोल जय. Thank you so much, Prabhu.